Welcome to the Front Seat Life podcast. This is Jessica Butts, your host and CEO and creator of Front Seat Life, where I help you be unapologetically who you are in your life, love, and business. Hello, Front Seat Lifers. It is Jessica, your host. I am in my closet. I don't know what else to say. I am in my closet. I hope to God the sound is actually better, but we'll see. There's no way for me to test it right now. So I live in this beautiful, beautiful community that I'm very lucky to have a groundskeeper, and they come and they blow leaves and they take care of everything. And unfortunately, it happens to be on the exact days that I have the entire day set aside to do podcasts. So as I am currently rearranging my schedule because all of, I'm very compartmentalized. I practice what I preach. And one of the things that I believe in is compartmentalization. And so right now, which is my scheduled time to be doing podcasts, they are currently blowing leaves. They are doing all the things outside that could be as noisy as humanly possible. Mowing the lawn, blowing the leaves, doing all the things. So I am literally sitting in my closet and hoping that the sound is okay for you guys. So happy Front Seat Life Friday. It's actually Thursdays when I record these, but you are listening to this on a Friday. So thank you so much for listening. I very much appreciate you being here and listening and being a part of the Front Seat Life community. So today's topic, everybody, oh gosh, today's topic is a doozy. It's a doozy. It's a little controversial, probably not a little, probably a lot. I've heard this. I see it on Google. I see things all the time about these people writing about ambiverts, and I'm an ambivert. Oh, people, I'm here to tell you, ambiverts don't exist. It's not a thing. It's bullshit. It's I don't know who came up with it. But it's not a thing. It's not a thing. And I'm here to tell you exactly why it's not a thing today. So this is probably going to be more of a truth bomb episode, in that I'm going to give you a whole bunch of content, but it'll probably be a fairly short episode because I'm just going to drop this shit on you. And then we'll continue to talk about it. But today's topic really is, again, about the fact that ambiverts do not exist. And one of the main reasons that it can't exist, which is what most people don't talk about personality type wise, is that the introversion and extroversion part of your personality type dictates your baby in the back seat, which again, as a reminder, is where you go under deep stress. And where you go under deep stress tells you obviously so much about your personality type. So when people say they're an ambivert, they don't know which one. As soon as I start talking about the baby in the backseat, about where you go under deep stress, where you go when you're doing too many things that you suck at, where you go when your back is up against a wall, there are two very, very clear places that people go. And those two places are fight or flee. As I've mentioned in other episodes, and I will continue to talk about this, is that extroverts flee. Extroverts become introverted in a very bad way, like a baby, not again in your front seat, but as a baby. And introverts lash out. They fight in a very baby-esque extroverted way. They get loud, they yell, they scream, they might boss people around, that kind of thing. And so if people say, oh, I'm an ambivert, I'm neither one, you're missing so much of the richness of what personality type can teach you about yourself. So there's the end result of it. But now I want to talk to you about why this is. Okay. I want to prove to you today, with some facts, that ambivert is not a thing. And here's the reason that I think people get confused is because our front seat, the two people in your front seat, your driver and your co-pilot, make up your best self. And one is introverted and one is extroverted 100% of the time. If your driver is extroverted, your co-pilot is always introverted. If you are introverted, your driver is introverted, you are introverted, your co-pilot is always extroverted. And those two parts of you make up your best self. It is not one or the other. So when people say, I'm a balance of two, I say, basically, no shit. You are a balance of the two because 80% of your time and energy should, based on the teachings that I teach from Myers-Briggs, is that 80% of your time should be in your front seat. And if that is true, then it is absolutely a balance between introvert and extrovert. If you're an introvert, you still have an extrovert in your front seat. And if you're extroverted, you still have an introvert in your front seat. If both, which is never exists, this is not a thing, but if both of the passengers, both of these parts of your personality type were both introverted, you would never want to leave the house, and that would be bad. And if both were extroverted, you would never shut up and no one would ever want to be around you. So it is a balance. Not one is not better than the other. And this is, I don't know, fairly new insights. The more that I study, the process has evolved, the more that I watch it, the more that I see Myers-Briggs play out in my clients, in the work that I do. I continue to become more educated, more aware of how these play out. So I think there's the factual basis of Myers-Briggs, which is obviously fantastic. But then there's all of these things that I, as an expert in the field, have come to learn, to understand, to play with as a psychotherapist, kind of taking my background in personal development and watching people and watching couples and watching how people interact and being able to take all of those things and put them together to understand this, hopefully in a way that's helpful to you guys. That's why I do all of this. This is why I have a podcast. This is why I've got the Front Seat Life community. This is why, I coach entrepreneurs. This is why I do all of this stuff, is to really help people, again, understand their innateness, understand how they were brought into this world, and then understand Myers-Briggs in a way that they can actually use it. So let me give you a couple of examples. So a lot of my clients, I would say the majority of my clients, are either ENFJs or ENFPs. And then I would say probably the other half are INFPs and INFJs. So just for an example, I'm going to do the front seat of an ENFJ, and then I'm going to do the front seat of an ENFP, so you can see how one letter difference, the J and the P, they have the same front seat, but they're different. And I want you to be able to see those. So let's start with the ENFJ. ENFJs, their front seat, their driver is an extroverted feeler, which means they are out in the world, building relationships, communicating, talking, sharing ideas, sharing love, sharing their heart, relationship building, really building relationships is their number one core value and their number one thing that they're fantastic at. Yet, it's only half of the front seat. Let me say that again. It's only half of their front seat, and their front seat together makes up their best self, that makes up their front seat. Again, front seat life. So it's both of these things. So the second person in the front seat, the passenger, is introverted intuitiveness. This is in our heads or in our hearts or internally introvertedness ideas. This is why ENFJs need time alone. They need time to process. They are journalers. They love, love, love time alone. ENFJs in particular, the name of their type are the givers, because their front seat, their extrovertedness is always giving to others. Yet The other half of them is in their head, thinking, processing, feeling, coming up with ideas, being creative. What's next? How can I change people's lives? How can I help? How can I be of service? All of those things happen inside. Those two people make up the front seat. And oftentimes people they make a mistake. I'll just be honest. They make a mistake by thinking, because I'm extroverted, I need to spend 80% of my time being an extrovert. That is not true. That is not true. Your front seat is 50-50. Let me say that again. Your front seat is 50-50. So while ENFJs, half of their front seat, 50% of 100%, if you're, when you're in your front seat, 100% of that energy, 50% of the time, you need to be out building relationships, connecting, being extroverted, doing the one-to-many, connecting, all those things. But the other half of the time is spending time by yourself. And processing and thinking about things and what's next and vision boarding and brainstorming and journaling and all the things that introverted intuitives love to do. So now let's talk about ENFPs. They actually have the exact same front seat, just opposite. And this is why the introverted and extroverted things are important, and there's no such thing as an ambivert. Is because an ENFP, their driver is extroverted intuitive. They are sharing all of those ideas out in the world. They are huge pattern people. They are able to articulate and build relationships around the fact that they can see patterns, and they are creative and they think outside the box. They're excellent brainstormers with other people. Like, while introverted intuitives, they will mostly do it in their own head. Extroverted intuitives, they love to do it out in the world. They're always talking about what if, and honey, what if we did this, and taking the team, and what do we do this, and what about that? They're then co-pilot. The other 50% of them is introverted feeling, which a lot of people do not see. They do, you can hear the people outside, so I'm actually going to completely close my door. It's now 100% dark in my closet. This is hilarious. So the other side of them is this introverted feeling person. So a lot of people don't see the introverted side. When we are in our front seat, the only thing that the outside world sees is the extroverted part. Do you guys get, that is really, really powerful. The outside world only sees the extroverted part. So for ENFPs in particular, all the world actually sees of them is this cheerleader and rah-rah and let me help you do this and let me help you with that. But they don't see this kind, sensitive, very thoughtful, personal, deep well of emotion person, because they save that for themselves and those that are very, very close to them. That's what introverts do. They only allow certain people into that side of them. And this is why the ambivert thing is not a thing, because in our front seats, we are 50-50 introvert and extrovert. This is also why a lot of people will say, but I'm both. And I always say, fucking yes, you are both, because this is what society is doing. Like, Googles and the fucking blog posters and people out there are misrepresenting this. They are misrepresenting the fact that we are ambiverts. We're not ambiverts. We just all have two people in our front seat, which makes up our best self. One is always introverted and one is always extroverted. So again, we don't have to choose. We don't have to pick. The introverts don't always have to say, hey, it doesn't mean that I never want to be around people. It just may mean that I want to do it in a different way. I want to socialize one-on-one. I want to go for walks. I want to have connections. I want to have small dinner parties. I may not want to go to a ginormous party, but it doesn't mean that I don't want to see people. And extroverts get this ridiculous ridiculous label that they never want time alone. Like nothing could be further from the truth. I am very extreme in all of my letters. And as an extreme extrovert, I spend a whole bunch of time by myself. A lot, because I'm very clear that I love giving, but I also am very soulfish. That's our new word. Soulfish, not selfish, but soulfish. I go introverted to replenish my soul, even as an extrovert. That part of me, it's 50% of me. I go inward to replenish my soul so that I can go back out and give to others. So last week's episode was the 80-20 rule on rest. Actually, two episodes again. If you hadn't listened to that, go back and listen. I will definitely be sharing more about this because as I grow more into watching people through their Myers-Briggs, understanding it on a deeper level, taking my own introverted intuitiveness and creating new visions and seeing it in a new way and bringing you new ways for you to see it. I hope that I can debunk, I think, some of these myths that are out there. I don't want to diss people per se, about their beliefs, as I don't want people to diss me on my beliefs. Like everybody can have their own opinion, but I truly believe that the ambivert thing is a bunch of bullshit. And this is why, because our front seats are made up of both introvert and extrovert, and we are equally those two things. All right. Coming to you from my closet. I hope to God that was informative and helpful to you because I'm just real fired up about it. I'm going to do a webinar in the next couple of weeks about this, free webinar so you can see me. I won't be in my closet, I promise. Hey, if you're not on my email list, go get on there. If you haven't taken the assessment, it's free on my website. It's jessicabutts.com. It's a couple of sections down. It's the free personality assessment tool. I will send you an absolute plethora of amazing content. And then I can also keep you updated on these free webinars that I'm about to embark on. And I sure would love to continue to play with you and hopefully educate you and hopefully inspire you and help you be your absolute best version of yourself and help you be unapologetically who you are. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening. I know you have lots and lots of options for podcasts, and it just, it continues to shock me, delight me, and it's just an incredible honor that you listen. So thank you so much. From the bottom of my heart, truly, thank you so much for listening. I know that you have a ton of options, and the fact that you are taking time to listen to the Front Seat Life podcast means absolutely everything to me. If you're interested in learning more about the Front Seat Life way of life in the community, there's a couple ways that you can do that. First is always starting with your personality assessment tool. It's available on my website at jessicabutts.com. It's totally free, and it will help you figure out your personality type so you'll have some idea of what we're talking about. Next is, if you're interested in hiring me for a keynote or some coaching or strategy days or the fabulous and amazing Front Seat Life community, you can find out all about all of that at jessicabutts.com. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.